And I've seen so many of you on Zoom at these readings, right? Your faces are all familiar, and it was one of the things when we started to gather again. I said to myself that I wasn't going to take it for granted, right? So I'm treasuring this time to be together in the flesh, with the light coming in the way it is, and the cool air coming into the door. It's a real treat. I'm savoring it. So thank you all for coming. I'm here tonight with my parents and my best friend since I was 5 years old. So like the closest people, who's an amazing painter. So I'm really happy to be here, and I love you, Phil, and I love Marcia, and yeah, so I'm going to start reading. Actually, Tigers is the second book. So the first book is Night Radio, and Night Radio was this excavation of violence and trauma. And when I think of what I was kind of exploring in Tigers, all those questions about violence and art making around violence started to shift because I had a daughter, right? And they became very visceral and personal. And so the book examines that. I think danger, threat, the recovery of a sort of wildness, that you realize you lost when you become a parent. As you're domesticating a young person, you're like, wait, what happened to me? But also I think this book is about, like, you can hear the stories of your mothers and grandmothers, but you have no context to understand what those stories mean until I crossed the threshold into motherhood. So I'm going to start with Poems and Tigers. I wrote a series called The Mother Ghosts, and this first one is Mother Ghosts, the Ancestors. And the book is dedicated to my daughter. You must travel like a peasant. Here are grandma's thick ankles. Here's how to suck marrow from a chicken bone. Your matriline haunts the castles of Estonia, of Hungary, of Ireland, supernatural, numinous, never ending. Here are the ghosts. Here, the mustard fields overgrown, the vines, the sky, a white apparition, a legend your mothers know. They strip you of your beauty. You must board the ship, comb lice from your hair. When you were a baby, I carried you everywhere. I thought the ghosts. I thought perfection. The mothers, not bird-like, but terry cloth shorts, flabby thighs, the breasts loose. You can smell bath salts, breath like yogurt cups. You will come to your new life carrying your father's debts, my simple dresses. After the storm, even the solid earth gives way. It will block the trail. You will have to climb on all fours. Mothers grow a kind of offspring, coyote, black bear, possum. Your grandmother's grandmother birthed a child who chased her 6 children with a kitchen broom. The skinniest girl became my mother. What does devastated mean, you ask me? Here are entire bodies, veins and tendon cords, mothers meddling, mothers moving forward, supernatural, never ending. Here is the letter, a black outline around the perimeter, the news, it's coming, the mothers, the ghosts, waiting, wailing. Here's how you know, before the haunting, how you tear it wide open. Thank you. Yeah, one way I think of this book too is that like a book of shadows, right? For my daughter, how to navigate the unknown. This is the first poem in the book, and it's called The Boneyard. I think I won't get better, but I've forgotten that I used to hate myself so much that I'd chop my hair right there with Daria, who was drunk like we all were on beer and cold medicine. By better, I don't mean sick with cancer or hepatitis, but better, like improved, like a better person. One who doesn't point at her husband and say, I told you, and the time I almost bashed the car on the freeway with my baby sleeping, the music low on the stereo, and then an entire life I've carried around my tough sack of a body that I think means I've got wisdom. I like calling it a boneyard because it's salty and tough, and that's what I think it means to live. Actually, I was going to say die, but it's the living, the noise, the brain, the people that you think you won't survive. I like calling it a boneyard because it's the place where we bury the secrets. I'd almost forgotten myself at 19, but my dad taped a picture of me then on my wall. He didn't forget my stupid tattoos or the time I walked drunkenly across his face while he slept on the floor of my rented room, my pants torn in two from the barbed wire and all the hoo-hoo. I've visited the boneyard, and there they all are. The kid whose mom made her wear wet underpants on her head every time she had an accident, and the time the toilet paper was sticking out of my pants and my face when that mother discovered me humping her daughter while listening to Apollonia 6, and I'm looking up at Jennifer Bell after the teacher demands I clean her white Keds when I accidentally stomped on the taco sauce packet at recess. The way shame makes your jaw stiff. I don't pray to Jesus, but I see something I recognize when I look into the eyes of those white supremacists. Anything's better than being a pussy, even for a feminist. But I've let my hair grow long, and in the boneyard, the cut grass, the engraved brass, I know what it's like to want to manicure pain, to want to hide the gruesome away. I don't sing, and I forget to bring water, and nothing smells of decay, but it turns out all just the same. Even though I grew up on formula bottles, I thought I could become layered and earthy. I thought, like the song says, that I could leave it all behind, but the way it's gathered there in the boneyard, the way the graves rattle with shame, the guys mow the lawn every Tuesday, even if it rains. I put the baby in the stroller and visit it on weekdays. And here's the truth. Once you've been to the boneyard, there's nothing anyone can say. All right, let's see how I'm doing on time. Okay, we're doing okay. Let's see. I think I want to read this poem, so I'm going to read The Felons, which is a favorite of mine. But before I do that, I was telling Jeanette that I'm working on a new book, a work of narrative nonfiction about motherhood and ambition and failure, and about Lee McCarthy. I don't know who knew Lee McCarthy, a poet that we all cherished in this area that and who mentored me when I was a young girl kind of coming up. And if you know Lee, you know her life was a life of endurance. She left her husband, who ended up becoming very famous, a struggling writer who we now know as Cormac McCarthy, when she was 23, stepped onto a train with her baby and then came out to Central California and had to fight against the evangelical church for 20 years when she was a school teacher in Wasco. She eventually won her censorship trial. But her life has been a little bit ignored and erased, and I hope to rectify that. So I'm going to read a Lee poem tonight. This is from her first book, Desire's Door. She was 53 when she published her first book of poems. And this poem deals with some of the, those biographical elements that I just shared with you. It's called Civil Rights. It's a poem in 4 sections. Civil Rights. 1, a tall, skinny weed, a flat-out yellow blossom I've turned into a white-headed dandelion, extreme, flamboyant as ever. There is no end to the disorders I was listed with, even my side. paranoia, impulsiveness, social maladjustment, guarded, naive, histrionic, Pollyanna. The switch from noun to adjective was also attributable to some kink in my personality, no doubt. I didn't get to be vain. It seemed a real loss. The next day, I wore a magenta dress, heels, Egyptian earrings, encased myself in nylon up to the waist, hoping to complete the deadly sins. Court moves forward by the big swish of a tail from one side to the other. It was said being me gave me no pain. It pained only others. Shylock, here's my sympathy, 400 years too late. Somebody send a little wind my way. The world and I may learn civility yet. 2. 1,000 lights in the ceiling of the courtroom. What a darkness there must be when they go out. A ride in the whale's belly. 3. My son was pronounced grown, in no need of support. The defense lawyer said that. Someday the word will stick in his throat. His son, now 5, a safe distance from 18, he thinks. The jurors voted unanimously against me. To say are live coals, bare feet walk on, a test of faith for Hindus. The Baptists bend to wash theirs, but no one has inquired how hot the water is. The dandelion grows bald. Only when I tell my son I love him do I cry. We were on an island eating breakfast, feeding toast off the veranda railing to birds. It was Christmas. Only when life is simple do tears come. There is nothing simpler than hearing the ocean. 4. I try to imagine how it has been for him, the son of such a woman. Only then does the heart burst open, speechless, discovered in all its guilt of being alive. Bare stems are gathered in the fall, made into wine. Old women drink their way through slow afternoons. Here, the lion's tooth show itself to the wind. They drink in the fading afternoon. Keep feeling the 1,000 lights go out inside them. I've got a couple more. Lee McCarthy. Can definitely not do justice to her poems as if Lee was here, but I tried. Okay, this next one's called The Felons. The good old felons. The felons who speak regularly at 12-step meetings teach us to shove an arm into the mouth of a Rottweiler if attacked from the side. They teach us that if you've killed a man, you make amends by raising your grandchildren, that the kids will play in a small fenced yard, that you button the thin child's shirt until he can do it for himself. The felons who speak regularly at 12-step meetings teach us not to reach over a man's plate for a salt shaker. We call the one with new white teeth Beaver. We call the felons who speak at 12-step meetings names like Pegleg Steve and Bloodbath Bob. We are 20-year-old girls sitting in a line on metal chairs. We are always lighting cigarettes. We are girls who have spent the summer pulling cold trays of French fries from the trash to eat, girls who travel by Greyhound. We steal hair dye. You wouldn't believe what has happened to us. At the 12-step meetings, the felons teach us to aim like we're hunting wild javelina. They teach us how to instantly pull arrows from our quiver, that recovery is muscle memory, that relapse is a hoofed mammal chittering in the shadows. The felons say, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut. The felons who speak regularly at 12-step meetings feast on salmon roe, octopus, daikon radish, kimchi, fennel spare ribs, beef bourguignon, tabbouleh, crab cakes, and chicken satay. They hammer together coops for rabbits and tortoises before their bodies begin to grow quiet. As the years pass, the felons who speak regularly at 12-step meetings learn to hold our new babies lightly. They teach us that even violent men eventually grow small in hospital beds. They ask for honey ice cream to be spooned onto their tongues. When we throw open their curtains and our thick heels click across the room, they ask us to slow down a little bit, will ya? The felons who speak regularly at 12-step meetings teach us that the urges may never go away and that there is no love without acceptance. Eventually, they lose hair and they lose children. They lose toolboxes and tax statements, 401ks and regular erections. The felons who speak regularly at 12-step meetings teach us that a man's strength must move inward, that he will look off into the corner of the room, that he will surrender even his body. The felons who speak regularly at 12-step meetings die quietly, while foxes flickers on the TV. They teach us how the morphine dream pulls you by an umbilical cord through deep space. They speak their mother's names, the felons do. A young Jodie Foster chases her life while the felons unzip themselves from this great longing. Okay, I'm gonna read one more. It's the title poem. It's called Tigers, and it's dedicated to my daughter, Annie, to all her daughters. When the tigers come, you might drive and drive, inhaling hits of smoke from the mouths of shoeless men, pulling long moo-moos from garbage cans, rolling your own cigarettes from tobacco tins. When the tigers come, you might crush all your Simon and Garfunkel albums and stop taking showers. You might throw away the fun girl who used to sing at dinner. When the tigers come, you might run naked, believing that if you've rid yourself of every last remnant, they'll have nothing to take from you. Once the tigers have come, everything will begin to look like Tiger. The classroom, your dope, the small way you believe you can go to Reed College, your love of whales, the total. I want to tell you that when the tigers come, meet Tiger with Tiger. Sorry, I got a little choked up there. I want to tell you that when the tigers come, meet Tiger with Tiger. I want you to learn the tiger growl, the tiger smell. I want to teach you to stalk like a tiger. I want to make a tiger mask for the back of your head so the tigers won't attack from behind. I want to tell you that the tigers will become gentle, but the tigers aren't gentle. You can only open your tiny broken life. You can crack open the back door when the rain starts. You can come down into the wild fennel, into this long stretch of time, these days like little pieces, the smell of sage, the way the wind moves through anyone's hair. When the tigers come, you can only meet them as you meet every single morning. You start so early and you look like Tiger looks, eyes fixed on each moment. And you've always called me back here to the sound of your own singing, your hand pulling me into the yard, back from all the ways I teach you to run from Tiger. But Tiger is here all along with tiger breath, tiger whiskers, and up close, the sound is not a growl. The sound is all animal, and Tiger can sense us, and you're ready. I can see that now. You always have been. Wow. Thank you so much. What a great opening program you have given us. Just extraordinary.